Footsteps meet on hardwood floors, laughter spilling from the doors. Different tongues, but hearts the same. Learning life beyond the name. At the International English Cafe. Talk your troubles right away. Sip your tea and stories play. At the International English Cafe.
Okay, welcome to the call, everyone. This is the International English Cafe. I am your host, Thanh, and today's topic is moral of the story. This is week 2, in which we delve into word games, vocabulary building, and language arts. So, moral of a story is an element of a story, which falls under language arts. Right now, it is currently Friday evening in the Western Hemisphere, Saturday morning in the Eastern Hemisphere. So for today's topic, members came in with a moral of the story, or they can use Google and or ChatGPT to look one up. So the idea will be, in a sense, in the format of a speech that's about maybe 3 to 8 minutes long. Just talking about the moral of the story. So this could be from any type of story, whether it's from a book and or a movie. So within each person's speech, we can have a little bit of time for commentary and then move along to the next person. So hopefully we'll learn some interesting morals today and talk about some interesting stories as well. So before we get started, does anybody have any questions, thoughts, or comments?
Well, I'm new here. I don't know how to see the process. How can I start? I don't know if I can introduce myself. I would like to know about it. Just let me know, please.
Yeah, so I was just kind of going through the rundown that so come to the meeting with a moral of the story, or just use Google and or ChatGPT to look up one. And then basically within, give yourself about 3 to 8 minutes worth of time to talk about the moral of the story in a kind of like a
Yeah, well, I got it. But I got a question. Can we improvise about it? No, because I believe I can set free my mind. I can free my mind. Like get more ideas about it. Think about myself.
I mean, sure. Like if you already can think about a story off the top of your head, then
Yeah, of course. I can
that
give
should be
you some
fine.
ideas about it because I used to learn some books. Yeah, that's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So, that's fine. Like I'm not gonna constrain you to a particular moral or a story of any sort. Just something that you can speak to. So if you have something in mind, that's perfect. Nice. Okay.
Can I share my opinion?
Sure. Go ahead, Ayu.
Okay, from my perspective of the moral of from the story that you read before, yeah, it's come from the book or something. It's of course that the author always have a purpose when they write something from their book. So they hope that the reader will understand what they are telling about in that book. Yeah, so you try to conclude what's what is the point of that from the book, the story from the book that you got, and then you can learn it from your for your life. So I think that's the what is but you know that the perspective it's people will be a different. So from you it will be different if I say that this is my opinion, so something like that. And then I think this is kind of like you must learn something from that book if you ready to read it, and then you can learn or you implement it in your life, because of course that everybody want have a good or better life. So it's mean that you must learn something from what you read it before.
So would anybody like to start off with talking about a moral of a story? So for me, I guess I can start things off. I tend to do a good deal of audio book reading, just because it's much more convenient. The current book that I'm reading is The Case of the Flying Corpse. It is kind of a Sherlock Holmes-esque type of story, which talks about a famous American actor named William Hooker Gillette. He is the famed actor who portrays Sherlock Holmes. So in the story, he is basically trying to solve kind of a murder case that is occurring nearby his house, or can't really call it a house because it's a literal castle, right? Which is now located at Gillette Castle State Park in Connecticut. So it's just like right up the Connecticut River, towards the southeastern part of Connecticut. Quite a big castle. So I took several pictures. If I get a chance, maybe I can show off what it looks like. But I haven't finished reading the book, but the overall moral to that story, just like any other Sherlock Holmes stories, is the power of deduction and observation. How important it is to be able to observe and to be able to deduce from what you have observed. It's interesting because many people maybe live their lives not really taking notice of the things that they see and experience. So this is something that I feel is pretty important, because when we open our eyes to see what's really out there, part of it is we're allowing ourselves to see the beauty of what is in life, but also be enlightened by all that life has can provide, right? But also too, it's because of the power of observation deduction that we have what is now called for modern day forensic science, right? So I feel like this is pretty interesting. So how this applies to our life is this leads to a more scrutinized way to in a sense provide justice for people out there for maybe false claims and or even other things that maybe we should not be taking accountability for something that we have not done. I feel that this is pretty relevant for these time of age, just because of how forensic science has been used in a lot of cases, especially for detective work for this time of age. So this type of idea of power of observation and deduction has really come along a really long way. So I feel that this helps a lot of people when followed, just because now, like, instead of just judging people of their innocence or guilt, well, we have a systematic way to really discern whether or not someone is really at fault. So I feel this is pretty important, especially in terms of our crime fighting these days. So that's in a sense the moral of my story, or like the story involved that I've been reading. It's regarding the power of deduction and observation. and how that this helps to enlighten people and bring clarity to a lot of things out there, especially towards justice and just overall knowledge. So thank you. By the way, do I actually have that book out here? Probably I left it in my room, but probably when I get a chance to run off and find it, then like I can show off the book. Behind me, if I took down this background, is a library or a little mini library of books. So I'm always to continue to grow it. Like I want to get more books to stack onto it. It's all of the lighter books though, because all the heavy books are stored away. But in any case, does anybody have a moral to the to the story that they would like to talk about or bring up?
May I?
Go ahead, Francisco.
Hello, Tan, how are you?
I'm doing well.
The moral I am bringing to you, it is about a movie. Here at home, we have watched this movie a couple of times because we found it interesting. The name of the movie is Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is a movie from the United States. The principal, a character, his name is Tom Hanks. Forrest Gump model. The moral of Forrest Gump is that life is unpredictable and full of surprises, and we should embrace them. It teaches to be kind, respect everyone, and always look at the bright side of things. The film encourages us to pursue our passions, love unconditionally, and be open to change and new things. It also reminds us that money cannot buy happiness, and that life is this is a phrase that Tom has, he said this phrase during a movie. He said that life is like a chocolate. Life is like a box, a chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get. This lesson applies to our daily life and can help us navigate through life's challenges with a positive and open-minded attitude. This is a model that I'm bringing to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a good moral. I like it, and it's it's a really good movie too. I like your choice.
Thank you. As you have heard before, Forrest Gump is a very, very famous movie here in Costa Rica.
Oh, that's nice to hear. And especially too, like this is a good moral, right? Because you don't know what life has to offer, right? Hence why it's like a box of chocolates. Very nice. Does anybody else have any other particular comments or thoughts? All right. So yeah, overall, that's I really like the that you picked this movie particularly. I mean, obviously it's a very famous movie, but also to speak to the unpredictability of life, and being able to just navigate your life through such kind of I guess um, an interesting environment, right? So it's very nice. Cool. Okay. Would anybody else like to go next and bring up a moral of the story that they would like to talk about? So I'm guessing G, would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm just let other people go first, but if no one has any idea yet, then I'm free to go. So I'll pick like a very popular story. So with the raise of hand, have you ever heard of A Boy Who Cried Wolf story? So basically, uh let's just summarize the story. So The Boy Who Cried Wolf is about a boy who is a shepherd, um, managing the sheep for the farm, and he got bored one day, and he just wanted to have a game. Uh, he shout wolf, uh, alarming the villagers that the wolf is around. So the villagers follow his calling and come to saving his sheep. Um, but turns out he was just, there's no wolf. Uh, he just like, looking at the villagers and, laughing at their silliness, and he just thought that he can fool everyone. Uh, and later he did that again. He tried wolf again, and then the villager also follow his, you know, shouting and come to rescue. But turns out it's also a lie. However, the third time, when the wolf actually show up, he shouted wolf asking for help, but nobody believed him. So nobody come to rescue, and then the pack of wolf, you know, took some of the sheep, and he just, standing there, uh, looking at the whole story close out, um, not be able to rescue the sheep. So what are the moral story that I can draw from this story specifically? There are actually a lot of moral story I can draw from this. Um, the first of all, um, don't tell lie more than 3 times in a row. 2 times okay, but don't do that 3 times in a row. Like you can pull people 1 or 2, don't do it 3 times. Um, how does that work in real life? Um, you know, deception is a psychological warfare between any individual, and being predictable is detrimental to anyone uh, controlling or mentally controlling my game. So sometimes being unpredictable is how we can create a illusion of deception. So if he want to have fun, might as well sometimes tell a lie, sometimes tell a truth, mix it up, and nobody know when he's tell a lie or truth. So that's the first story of the moral story that I can think of. Second moral story I can draw is, why does the shepherd have, managing a pack of sheep without a protection? So he should be able to have a shepherd dog or some type of ammunition to protect the sheep. So why doing business without insurance? So that is the second moral story I can think of. If we are dealing with processing data, if we're dealing with AI technology, better have a good cybersecurity. You need to protect the asset of your business before you actually have the profit from the business. How does that apply? If you have like a big company, you have a big asset, big factory, might as well put some expense into security, into camera network, making sure nobody can take your either tangible property or even intellectual property. Protect that so that you can have a long-term gain and not risking the livelihood of your income in the future. Install camera around your house, protecting what you have. Be able to fight when the risk comes and not rely on somebody else to, hopefully protect you from the risk from the outside world. So I think that is the two most story I can draw from that, but I can open for discussion. So if anybody have any ideas or have a discussion, please go ahead.
I would like to add or contribute. You brought up many good points. And what I got out of your talk was you need to think, because by thinking, and of course, if you have the financial means, you're able to do many of the things that you said: camera, protection, and more. And I honestly believe that there's no one situation that fits all. In other words, what I'm saying might apply to some, and then of course others, it goes right over their head. But the key is to think. Now, let's take that thinking. That's the part, in my view, my perspective, the way I think, that people don't do. They don't think ahead. Now, why am I saying that with emphasis? Again, I revert back to what I believe is important, and you might not believe it. And here we go again. You work, okay, if you go to work. And again, it only applies to some. And you have a family. Okay, nothing wrong with that. And you go through life happy. Beautiful. What more can you ask for? But what if you could think of other ideas to make your life even better? Yes, you're happy with what you have. Stay with it. But what if you could do more? From the moral of the story, which from my perspective, my way of thinking, is think ahead. What can you do today to have a better life tomorrow? and not just exist and go back and forth to work, which is nothing wrong with that. You're happy. And that's the part I honestly believe people don't do, or they put up barriers and they don't go around them or over them or dig under them to get ahead. Now, I realize life is difficult for many, many people. I get it. But it's what you do before you add on all of the other, I call them problems, situations. I'm just talking marriage, kids. It's what you do before that could possibly help you have a better life tomorrow. Yeah, there's so much to say, and yet every time I open my mouth, I realize many people aren't going to be affected by it because they just exist. They wake up, they eat, they go to work, and they come home, and then they go to sleep. And they're happy. They are happy until there's a problem. They have to go to the doctors and they can't pay the bill, or their area burns down. Just read about it today. A big section of the area in the city. But are they planning for the future? No. They don't have the ability, the means, the knowledge, or what we say aptitude, the ability to plan, because they don't have, maybe it's money. Maybe they bought too much and have nothing. Yeah, it's a complicated case. I get it. But people need to think and then go after it if it's worthwhile. Putting cameras on buildings might be a way to protect your assets, what you own. And if you don't believe that, don't do it. Put bigger locks on the doors. Anyway, that was a good point. And of course, it makes you think. Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, welcome to the call, Aulia and Matt. So, hi.
Well, good morning, Thanh and everyone.
Yeah? Are you going to tease me with coffee again, Matt?
Because I think I don't dare to take you on that. Because I think you are a master about coffee. So
I might know some things about coffee, but you still have the better coffee over there, hands down.
now I just get into my habit that I can often drink coffee. Yes, but sometimes I do not know about the ingredient of coffee. Yeah, in the recipe, how they can mix it together. That I can recognize, which one is best, which one is worse,
Yeah.
which one is so. Just that.
Alrighty. Well, anyhow, to get into it, right? Today's topic is moral of the story. So the idea is talking about moral of the story, of any story that you like. The most important thing is you're talking about a moral. The story can come from books, movies, or anything of the sort. And yeah, the format of how to go about this is to talk in a speech, basically talking for about 3 to 8 minutes long. I have some guidelines that's on the screen, but also too, I also have copied some of that into the chat box. Oh, internet connection unstable. Okay. If you're able to jump in at some later point, you know, feel free to raise your hand and try to jump in and talk. But in the meantime, this is the topic. So you can talk about any moral from any story that you like. If you don't know of any off the top of your head, you can just look one up from Google and or ChatGPT, and then use that to help you talk. I have some points that are below. So things that can help you talk about the moral story. So basically, what is it? How does it influence the characters? How does it apply to our lives? Things of that nature, right? So hopefully this will help you be able to talk about the moral of your story. Okay, would anybody like to go next?
Can I go next?
Sure, Mira, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Mira, and
Sure.
the story I'd like to tell you about today is from the book named The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I'm sure many of you have heard of this book. In the story, the little prince lived on a tiny asteroid and spent time with his beloved Rose. The Rose was lovely, but oh boy, she was also demanding, boastful, and she seemed manipulative at times. The prince didn't yet understand love fully, so he saw her flaws, and at times he felt unappreciated. So he decided to explore the universe, seeking wisdom and clarity. He traveled across planets and met all kinds of people. They were obsessed with money, status, and control. He also met a little fox that befriended him, and then he still felt sad, and then he missed his rose. Through all of those encounters, he learned about love, responsibility, friendship, and he learned to see things with the heart rather than just the eyes. The journey made him realize that his rose was unique and precious just because of the bond he had with her. Only when he tends to his rose, watering it, protecting it, caring for it, does he understand why his rose matters more than all others. It isn't because his rose is objectively more beautiful or better than other roses or all the roses in the whole universe. Her beauty wasn't in just her petals, but in the care, in the attention, and in the time that he had devoted to her. So what truly matters to us is often invisible, and responsibility gives love meaning. Love, friendship, and purpose don't come from finding something perfect, but from choosing to be responsible for something imperfect and staying present with it. So I think the story is a little reminder in a transactional world that meaning grows where devotion lives. So you might wonder how we can apply the moral in our daily life, right? So I think we can apply the moral in relationship, mindfulness, and gratitude. So first, relationship. We can choose to focus on the people that we care about, such as our family, our friends, our partners. We should try to show attention We listen to them and we nurture the bond instead of expecting perfection. So when we talk to them, we should put the phone down and really hear what they are saying, even when they're talking about the small, everyday, boring things or their weird conspiracy theories. And we can try to choose consistency over perfection. We don't need to be perfect in how we show up or how we show love. We just need to be present, right? We don't need to be flawless. We just need to, show up, survive their quirks and weirdness, and most importantly, not ghost them. Okay, so when it comes to mindfulness, we can try to notice the small and often invisible things that make life rich, like moments of kindness, beauty in nature, or quiet consciousness. These are what truly matter. Notice the small things like someone holding the door for you, or a perfectly ripe avocado, or a cat that actually listens to you. So those tiny moments are way more important than stressing over the things that you can control. And last, when it comes to gratitude, we can appreciate what we have rather than chasing something better. Meaning comes from actually caring about what's in front of you, not from the shiny things that you see on Instagram.
Very
Do
nice.
you guys have anything to add? Any comments, any feedback?
The first thought that comes to mind is one of the 5 love languages, quality time.
What made you think about that?
I thought about that because it took the little prince going all over the place to realize that being able to be with his rose is most important. So then the time spent with his rose, basically that's quality time right there, right? So sense of care, the sense of attention, being able to observe all the little details, right? And that's helps with the development of their relationship. So
Yep.
plus two, like at first I did not realize which story this was until you went further in talking about it, and I'm like, oh, I remember the story now.
What? You don't remember the Little Prince?
They have well, see, so how I learned this story is not through reading it, but they had little cartoons. Like
Ooh, yeah.
there's several
Yeah.
variations.
Yeah, the storyline is completely different. Between the cartoon and the book.
Depends on which variation, right? Because
Hmm.
some of the more modern variations, I think, delves away from what the book has written. Although I think the variation that's a little bit more closer to what the book has written would be the PBS version, I would say. They tend to stick a little bit more with being true to the source material rather than other variation, or PBS standing for Public Broadcasting System. It's one of the older systems, television systems in the US. So, this is the same system that has like our same television channel that has like Mr. Rogers or Reading Rainbow, right? So a very educational TV broadcasting system.
So that make me wonder, is the prince leaving the rose make him realize how he need the rose or how he want to be with the rose? If he hasn't left from the first place, would he recognize that?
That is an interesting thought, because in order to know what you have, you may need to explore what you don't have, I guess, and know that what you don't have actually exists.
That's an interesting question, and it led me to think about how we learn things in life. So there could be two different ways we can learn from our own experience. In the case of the little prince, he left the rose, he left his asteroid, and he went to other planets and met other people and animals, and that made him realize it, right? But the second way of learning is by observing the things that have happened to other people around us. You know, we can also learn from books, from stories, movies, and then we can use a little imagination, and then we could figure things out for ourselves. To make it simple, we could use the example of touching fire, right? When you come closer to fire, you feel it hot, and you've seen people touching fire and getting burned, right? Do you need to stick your finger into the fire for it to get burned to know that you shouldn't touch fire with your finger?
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm wondering, some people get burned, but what happens if, let's say, let's just imagine if the hand of someone is made of metal and it doesn't get burned,
Yeah,
then we wouldn't know for sure by looking at all the people if it burned their hands, but not trying it ourselves.
So just to interject a little bit, right? So firsthand experience versus secondhand experience. That's in a sense what you were referring to.
Yeah,
Just to give it a name, right?
correct.
Yep.
it's kind of like we learn from what we testing, or we learn from all the people testing, right? It's still learning, nonetheless.
Yep. And then we could also choose in which scenarios, with settings, with conditions, we can we'd better apply the first method or the second method. I mean, it's totally up to us.
I mean, I can expand more to make it a conversation, but I think I would love to, yeah,
If
leave
you
the
want to explore,
opportunity
if you
to
want to
all the
expand more, go
people.
ahead.
So, okay, so let's say from the psychological standpoint, um, the act of leaving somebody that you live with put more value later on when you come back to that person, and knowing what you have lost. What is the moral of that? Like, you have to make a wrong decision and regret to increase the value of whatever we lose. Would that be the moral?
Basically, the idea of negative reinforcement or punishment is a way to guide us towards what would ideally would be the preferred or good decision to make. That's kind of like what that would be.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, let's say a couple, and then let's say one scenario when they meet each other, they love each other, they marry, they live until the rest of their life happy, compared to another couple. They meet each other, they go up and down, break up a couple of times, go back together, and maybe live the rest of their life even happier. Would that be a better case compared to the first case, or would people prefer to stick with the first one? It's just a thought experiment. There's no right or wrong answer per se.
Would any of the others want to give that a chance? What do you guys think?
Look, we can debate this all year. Everybody's different. Everybody has different viewpoints. If one method works for someone, they got lucky and made the right decision. Everybody has to make up their own mind. Let me deviate, go in another direction. I'm watching on Netflix a series, and if my memory serves me correctly, the name of it is Resident. And it's about emergency room problems. And when you start to realize that these doctors, nurses, they need to make some very difficult decisions, either based upon what the patient says or doesn't say. Now, this is a series where you can take every situation and dwell on it for days, weeks, months, and years. But of course, it's a series and the film is moving forward. Now, every situation is going to be different, emotional for everybody. Maybe, there might be some that aren't affected. And then it's over a period of time when you will decide, was that the right decision? And time could tell. Or for that moment, it was the right decision. But 6 months from now, you're looking at it from an entirely different viewpoint, and you're saying, maybe I should have done it another way. We're human beings, and these situations, problems, morals of the story might affect us differently over time and in more than one way. It's almost like asking someone, and I'm just talking, find the moral of the story and let us know if you live by that moral, or whatever you think it is. And again, the answer is sometimes no, yes, or sometimes I use bits and pieces to help me move forward. It's heavy.
Very deep. Yes, indeed. Okay. Would anybody like to comment further regarding this?
Okay, could I talk a little bit?
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I think this topic most valuable for me, and I would like to share because I think the morality, we talk too much in a person, because we love to learn and we love to improve ourselves. to be moral and for ourselves to be the best. And I think we learn a lot the morality, but I think it's just on the theory what we learn. And I would say that how we can control our action relate to the morality, right? For example, and sometimes we could not control ourselves to be harmful to someone in case. And after it's gone, that story, and then we look back that story and we say why we don't what based on we don't calm down, we don't forgive, we don't forget to someone, and why we can fight them, we can argue with them a lot. But even though we learn from the Bible, we learn from the book, laugh, this best, this better, that better. But actually, you could not be controllable ourselves in some situation. And that the topic I would say, I myself am learning a lot about my master in my religion. I know exactly what he did, what he taught, what his action. I think that's the point. I love to become him. I love to become myself, to be some calm down, forgive everything outside, because I know exactly this significantly the my second, it is the top of the goal to pursue for myself to be better. But actually, sometimes I talk to someone and person, I have the morality. I can help people, I can support people, but sometimes my action could not be controllable. Yes, that I would like to say. I don't negative or positive on the topic, but how we can learn and apply it in the reality of life, and that's the point we consider for ourselves. Thank you.
So there's a couple times you said this one word. I think this is a word that probably should not be used. Am I right, Joe? Oh, you're on mute, by the way, Joe.
In my opinion, it wasn't overused. It was appropriate, and he spread it out, and so I could live with it, and I did. And it dawned on me, but not to the point where you need to speak using different vocabulary words. He spoke very well.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your contributing to. I think it must be better next time, because I realize my level just a beginner, and sometimes I can't get any mistake in the conversation. That's why I am practicing speaking English anytime, and I love to have your correction, wrong or right. Then I know exactly what way I can correct it. Yeah.
I honestly thought you did very well.
Yeah.
and I wish I could see you to put a face with the words that you're saying. But for some reason, there's 1,000 reasons, so I'm not going to get into. But anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm really sorry. I cannot show up my face
At least not
because
now.
now I'm using my old computer. Yes, it has been more than 20 years using, because I could not use my phone. And sometimes I use my old computer, and my screen they did not install the camera. That's why no, I
That's
hadn't.
understandable.
Sorry.
Yep, that's understandable. No worries. So let's get into what you were talking about, because you point out certain interesting things, a little bit more towards the religious side. Wasn't a take that I was expecting, but it was quite interesting, right? Because there are a lot of what they call parables, right, that come from such text, and they can help guide people to make the right decision. Diana, you want to bring up something?
Yes, Tan, thank you. Sorry. First of all, thank you so much for giving me the chance. And today, you brought up such kind of topic, the moral of the story. Yeah. In my case, I would say in our reality life, there are so many things that we can got from the event, from the story, to be a moral that can be applied to our life. Even from movie, or like you said, from movie or story, or from book, or from animation, something like that. And I remember one thing, very simple thing that I always see on the social media or something like that, even in WhatsApp. Many people share about this interesting story, a simple story actually. It's about I have seen or I have read let's say a competition between turtle and a hare. There was a competition between turtle and hare, and then in physically, naturally, I think we know turtle is very slow animals instead of hare, right? And at that time, the competition was between a turtle and hare. And you know what? The first start, yes, of course, hare can lead the competition, but in the middle of the pace, I think turtle looked like stuck or didn't move. But turtle, from the very beginning, she always consistent move, even little by little, slow by slow, and eventually at the end, of course, the turtle win the competition. Small story actually, but by this Shane, we got something moral story. That means you have to move even small, little by little. I compare to myself about English learning journey. Sometimes people are very fast about learning, but for me, I just noticed that I move little by little, small by small steps. But I believe that at the one point, I can be fluent, even though not like a native speaker. So small story that can I share about the a sample of the moral story from the turtle. Thank you.
Nice. Slow and steady wins the race. All right, there you go. So Diana, that's a really good story, the tortoise and the hare. Basically, the moral of the story being slow and steady wins the race. Um, I think that's a pretty powerful message because it talks about the ideas that haste make waste, right? So there are a little bit of idioms and or phrases to put out there regarding that story. Um, if you were to put it into a business sense, right? For things to move efficiently, you would need to look at the bottleneck, right? So just because you try to move fast, it doesn't really mean you're actually going to be able to proceed or develop your business, right? Because if you don't take care of the other things that would be in the sense the bottleneck, right? The obstacles towards your goal, it will still take you a while to get to your goal versus someone that is more consistent and steady with their pacing, which will then eventually lead them to the goal and, in a sense, be first, right? I think that's a very powerful message to consider, right? Because a lot of times just doing things gradually, little by little, is very important, that sense of consistency, versus just trying to get done and be a little bit careless and reckless and lack of accuracy in the process of what you're doing, right? So I like this story. This is a very good story that you brought up. Thank you, Diana. Okay, let's see. Does anybody have any comments or thoughts regarding Diana's story and more? All right, cool.
Then one more thing.
Go ahead. Yes.
One more thing. Myself always watch about the podcast, or like one thing that very interesting to me is the podcast, or how to say, it's like TED Talks. I always watch TED Talks because TED Talks is one of famous apps that we can watch, not just for learning English, but also we can got many moral story from what speaker said, because the speakers said about let's say knowledge, even their experience about many variety of the life journey. Probably TED Talks was very interesting to watch, and from them I got many many moral story in my life that can be applied to my life, like encouragement, not giving up, like motivation, but I could say it's not just for motivation of life, but also can be a moral story, I think. Thank you.
Yeah. Those are some good points too. I mean, through some of that, they do talk about morals as well. They may put it in a different light, or they could put it the exact same way that you may find in a novel or a movie, right? Just kind of depends on our perspective of how we receive the information, or how even the speaker communicates that. All right. So let's get back to the topic at hand. Yeah, so let's see, we don't have many people left, so let's see. Aulia, are you able to speak now? Looks like you're on camp.
Yeah, I think so. It's getting better now. The connection is getting better.
Okay, sounds good.
Well,
If it helps, you can turn off your camera, because for at least for my meetings, what I really care most is you speaking. So you don't have to feel obligated to turn on your camera. Plus, two, when you turn off your camera, it helps with your bandwidth so that it allows you to have better connection. So consider turning off your camera if you feel like the internet connection is going to go bad.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I would like to share about the novel I've read. It's The Alchemist, one of my favorite novels. I keep bringing it. I mean, because I love this novel so much by Paulo Coelho. Maybe all of us, all of the members here have read that. Oh my God.
Like I said, I have a
Yeah, it's
library
about
of
the
books. So if you are talking about a particular book, I might actually have it.
I even wrote a
my
poem
God.
about it.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's about Santiago, right?
Mhm.
And I love the way he pursues his dreams, even though his parents and all people in the village disagree with him. But yeah, he keeps pursuing his dream, and finally, his father gives him permission to do that. But by giving him some coins and to buy some sheep, I think, some sheep. So he can travel the world and pursue the dream and to get the treasure that he's always wanted. But by his journey, he finally realizes that it's not the wealth that he's looking for. So yeah, finally I can understand that journey makes people grow wiser and wealthier by knowledge. That's what I learned. Because by traveling or during his journey, Santiago learns a lot from so many people and so many moral values. And that novel, it is told that there's language of the world, the language of the world that you want to, when you want something and when you want to achieve something, the whole universe will unite to help you pursue it. That's what I love the most. Well, maybe it's about being brave to get out from our comfort zone. Like previously, Joe talked like people keep doing their routine. They get up, go to work, and then go to sleep. And then the weekend, maybe they get out, they go out, and then on the weekdays, it happens again. So why don't we just get some life and learn from it? I think so.
Very nice. This is a very choice story. This is very I'm kind of blushing thinking about this because this is a really good story to use.
Yeah, I can never get bored of this novel.
I forgive me for mispronouncing the name, but Aulia spoke very well. And she said traveling does make you a little smarter. I would like to add, though, and this is very important to you, but Aulia, forgive me for saying this, but I think it's very important too. Not only traveling helps you become a little smarter, but it helps if you're good looking, not like Tan. I mean, Tan has a long way to go when it comes to learning more because of the way he looks. Guess I'm going to be blocked.
You pronounced my name correctly at first. It's Aulia.
Aulia.
Yes, correct. Thank you. And thank you for the chance.
Cool beans. Would anybody else like to comment regarding the Alchemist and in a sense, the moral of the story of, life experiences through travel and being brave enough to get out of your comfort zone to achieve your goals.
May I?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, again, thank you so much, Tan. And I was reading one book from, I think it's like a famous book from Japan. Is called, or the title is Ikigai. I don't know if you have read that. Ikigai explain how to be healthy and especially to be, longevity, something like that. What they do for, especially from the Japan people in a specific island, Okinawa Island. Mostly there people, are becoming more than 100 years old, average. So from that book, I read how they do in their life and connecting each other with neighborhood, something like that, and what they eat. I think I'm not saying too much, but I think that book was very useful for us to know how to be healthy and to be long life. Yeah, I think that was also kind of the moral book that we can apply in our life. Thank you.
Thank you.
She brings up a good point that here we may think making money or traveling is important, and it might be to you. But what about living longer? Why aren't we reading and studying, asking questions about that? And I'm not. I'm not. So while we may have our own goals to achieve from a moral of a story that we read, it might not be the best one. Interesting, huh? So maybe we all need to step back and figure out which moral is probably the most important. Living longer, making money, or traveling and becoming smarter.
You could probably take them all at once.
Well, yeah, I thought about that as soon as I finished and said to myself, what if people don't have money? So that's the end of that.
Sounds like the life of a traveling YouTuber. So their content itself would be the thing that makes them money, right? Because of their content that they made through traveling. And then they gain the experience through that way and talk about it, and then that will just be more content, right? And it just keeps on cycling through.
And that helps you live longer. Going to countries that have serious pollution problems. I'm just throwing it out, what I mean?
Yeah.
We're always looking for that perfect situation. But Okinawa and other countries, even areas in Italy, people live to be 100 plus. And now the question is, why? And it's fascinating reading. If that's important. If it's not important, then stay home and do whatever you do.
Sounds good. Okay. Everybody basically had a chance to talk about moral of the story. So everybody brought up some pretty good morals and some very good stories too overall. So I think that's Nice. A lot of them are some, some oldies, right? So I really appreciate those. But also too, we have some interesting ones that are incorporated in there as well. So before I go on to the next part of the call, does anybody have any particular comments, questions, or thoughts for just this topic? Okay, so thank you for joining the meeting. Yeah, this was a pretty good topic with, moral of the story, and we got to listen to a variety of pretty good morals and stories. So hopefully stay tuned for my next meeting, and see you all next time. So take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Words collide like fiddles hum, every accent's welcome some. Round the table, dreams are shared, across the world and love is aired. At the International English Cafe, talk your troubles right away, sip your tea, let stories play. At the International English Cafe, we don't need no passport stamp, just a cozy corner lamp. Face to face we find a way, in a little cafe day after day. Maps and charts might trace the globe, but here we spin our own wardrobe. Patchwork lives with thread we weave, stories told when you believe. At the International English Cafe, words align like fiddles hum. At the International English Cafe, words collide like fiddles hum, every accent's welcome some. Round a table, dreams are shared, across the world and love is aired. Our love is aired, across the world and love is aired. Across the world and love is aired. English Cafe, we don't need no passport stamp, just a cozy corner lamp. Face to face we find a way, in a little cafe day after day. Maps and charts might trace the globe, but here we spin our own wardrobe. Here's your face, we find the way, in a little cafe day after day after day. Maps and charts might trace the globe, but here we spin our own wardrobe. But here we spin our own wardrobe. But here we spin our own wardrobe. Patchwork little cafe day. Hey, accent charts might trace the globe. We don't need no passport stamp, just a cozy corner lamp. Face to face we find the way, in a little cafe day after day. Maps and charts might trace the globe, but here we spin our own wardrobe. But here we spin our own wardrobe. Patchwork lives with thread we weave.